Greetings, and welcome to Chapter 1 of The Great Gatsby. So, we got two different versions of this book, and I think the one all of my classes this trimester have are the one without the yellow stripe, which looks something like that. If yours has the yellow stripe book begins on page 5, and the non-striped version, which I just showed you, begins on page 1. So to match up any of the quotes, simply add 5 pages to the page numbers I'm listing now. The beginning of the book, page 1, and feel free to jot this information down in your notes packet. There's a lot of good information, especially in the beginning of the book. So the book begins on page 1. In my younger, more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. Now, several things here. Actually, he goes on to say, he didn't say anything more, but we've always been unusually communicative in a reserved way, and I understood that he meant a great deal more than that. Now, when he talks about the advantages you've had, that could take form in any number of different ways. So when you talk about advantages your parents or guardians could give you, they could give you wealth, right? You could be born into it. That could be an advantage you could be given. It could be how you're raised, right? So not everybody has been given the advantages that you've had, and those advantages could be being raised to treat people well or to be a good person. Going on, Nick sets up this idea that he is very willing to reserve judgment on people. It said, in consequence, I'm inclined to reserve all judgments, a habit that has opened up many curious natures to me and also made me the victim of not a few veteran bores. So, the abnormal mind is quick to detect and attach itself to this quality when it appears in a normal person. We need this information, right? And one of the first things that the narrator says is he's willing to kind of give people the benefit of the doubt. We need this information because basically everyone he meets in this book is a jerk, right? There aren't many nice people or kind people that you would actually seemingly want to be friends with. And so Nick has to give us this information. Otherwise, you know, why he doesn't just say, forget all of you people right when he meets them. This helps that make sense a little bit. Now, one of the advantages to reserving judgments from people is that people are willing to talk to Nick a lot. It's the narrator's name. And it said on page 2, this is about dreams, so you might want to write down a quote about dreams. It said, the intimate revelations of young men, so when he talked to dudes, they would frequently tell him what their dreams are. Or at least the terms in which they express them are usually plagiaristic or marred by obvious suppressions. So he said most people who talk about their dreams and what they accomplish in life either are plagiaristic, it's just the same dream that everybody else has, I'm going to go to school, get a good job, make a lot of money, and blah, blah, blah. Or marred by obvious suppressions, and those suppressions, the things you would suppress would be the difficulties or challenges that would need to be overcome to achieve this goal. Reserving judgments is a matter of infinite hope. I'm a little afraid of missing something if I forget that, as my father snobbishly suggested, and I snobbishly repeat, a sense of fundamental decencies is parceled out unequally at birth. Not everybody is born a good person, right? And different levels, just in the same way that you can be born into different families with different levels of money, different people are born with different levels of goodness. Now, Nick kind of, at this point, when he's telling this story, everything that has happened in the book has already taken place, right? He's kind of looking back over everything. Now, he talks about Gatsby here. I would write these quotes down. This is a big one, even if you just write Good Gatsby, quote page 2. And it said, basically everyone that he met in this book he doesn't like, except for Gatsby. And it said, only Gatsby, the man who gives his name to this book, was exempt from my reaction. Gatsby, who represented everything for which I have an unaffected scorn. So he said, I should hate this dude. Right? Out of everybody in this book, he should be the one I hate the most because the way he treats people and acts is not all that good. But if personality is an unbroken series of successful gestures, then there was something gorgeous about him. Some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life, as if he were related to one of those intricate machines that register earthquakes 10,000 miles away. Now, the thing that Nick appreciates about Gatsby is Gatsby's ability to hope and to dream and to see the possibilities in life. It said, it is an extraordinary gift for hope, a romantic readiness such as I have never found in any other person and which is not likely I shall ever find again. He's never met anyone who can dream as big as Gatsby can. And it's that ability to dream and to put his faith and hope in something that Nick appreciates. No, Gatsby turned all right in the end. It is what preyed on Gatsby, what foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams that temporarily closed out my interest in the abortive sorrows and short-winded elations of men. Now, he said Gatsby ended up okay, but it was what followed Gatsby that was the problem. Now, Nick talks about on page 3, this would be a good quote that would fit with the American dream. Nick talks about what his family was like, and it said, "My family have been prominent, well-to-do people in this middle western city for 3 generations. The Carraways," that's Nick's family, "were something of a clan, and we have a tradition that we're descended from the Dukes of Buccleuch. But the actual founder of my line was my grandfather's brother, who came here in '51, sent a substitute to the Civil War, and started the wholesale hardware business my father carries on today." So, aside from ditching out on the Civil War, what his ancestor did is started a hardware business, and that business has been passed on through the generations to Nick's father. And so that's kind of American Dream 101, right? You start your own business, and then so you can earn your own living, and then you pass that on down to your family. Nick decided he wanted to learn the bond business, right? So he goes to the East Coast, and bonds are related to stocks. They're safer, right? And so the government would issue bonds, and so they would issue, say, $20 savings bonds. You would purchase that $20 savings bond, and you would hold the receipt for it, right? And then the government could use that $20, and then over the course of 10 years or 5 years, however long it takes the bond to mature, that bond that you spent money on, spent the $20 on, earns interest. And then when the bond is due, say 5 or 10 years later, you cash that back in, and instead of the $20 you spent, it's earned and accrued interest, and now you're getting $35 back or $40 back or something. So Nick goes to the East Coast to learn the bond business. And on page 5, these are good important quotes too, we get set up the idea of East egg and West egg. If my video cuts out here, I'm going to start another one shortly, so I apologize. Anyway, West egg on page 5. If you've ever heard the expressions old money and new money, so old money would be people who were born wealthy, right? Their parents were born wealthy, and likely their parents or parents were born wealthy, and they've never known anything except wealth, right? They've never had to work hard for a lot of money. They've earned it. It was just passed on. New money are people who have come into their money relatively recently, and especially in the the Roaring '20s and during this time, there were several ways that you could earn a lot of money very quickly. Among them, playing the stock market, and people made money very, very quickly. And new money, as I said, were people who recently achieved or gained their money. And people who are old money tend to kind of look down their nose at people who are new money and feel like they're being showy or ostentatious with their money. And now my video is going to